Few characters in classical literature capture the complexity of the human soul like Julian Sorel, the protagonist of Stendhal's The Red and the Black. Julian is ambitious, intelligent, and young. Born in a small town in the French countryside, the son of a carpenter, he felt the weight of his humble origins from a very young age. However, he refused to conform to the destiny that society seemed to have imposed on him. For Julian, life had to be more than hard work and obedience. He read about Napoleon as other young people read tales of heroes, seeing him as a model of ascension and power. Julian desired greatness, not out of simple greed, but because he believed that greatness was the only way to escape the invisibility that surrounded him. However, the greatness he sought was not only material. He was searching for something he couldn't name, something that pulsed within him like a burning desire. His pursuit of pleasure manifested in many forms: the pleasure of power, the pleasure of romantic conquest, the pleasure of being admired. Julian's life began to change when he was hired as a tutor for the children of Madame de Renal, the wife of a wealthy mayor. With his charm and intelligence, he quickly became the object of her attention. Despite his humble origins, he knew how to manipulate others' perceptions. He didn't love Madame de Renal, but he loved the power he exercised over her. Seducing her was a victory against a society that had relegated him to insignificance. However, this conquest didn't satisfy him. The pleasure of dominating and seducing was intense but fleeting. Julian soon realized that he needed more. He sought recognition in higher spheres and began a romance with Mathilde de la Mole, the daughter of a marquis. Unlike Madame de Renal, Mathilde was sophisticated and calculating. Conquering her meant social ascension, but also facing a new type of psychological game. Julian pursued this new challenge with the same intensity as always, but something began to change. He realized that the more he achieved, the emptier he felt. The pleasure he so longed for always seemed to be out of reach, like a horizon that recedes as we advance. At the end of his journey, Julian faced the consequences of his choices. His romance with Madame de Renal was exposed, and he was tried for attempting to murder her in a moment of desperation. Condemned to the guillotine, he had time to reflect on his life. He understood that his relentless pursuit of pleasure wasn't really a search for happiness, but an escape from himself. Julian died young, but his story remains as a powerful reminder: pleasure, when sought as an end in itself, can become a trap. It invites us to reflect on our own choices and the price we're willing to pay for what we believe will bring us happiness. What truly motivates us? This is a question that neuroscience has tried to answer for decades. If you found this reflection thought-provoking and it helped you see things differently, don't forget to leave a like, share this message with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more reflections like this. Observing Julian Sorel's trajectory, we can clearly see how he became a victim of the brain's reward system. The pleasure we feel when we achieve a goal, whether small or grand, is mediated by a fundamental biological mechanism, the reward system. This system is activated through the release of dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for creating feelings of satisfaction and euphoria. Julian experienced this every time he achieved something he desired, whether it was Madame de Renal's attention, Mathilde's admiration, or the power that came with his social conquests. But the human brain has a problem: it adapts quickly. It's like buying a new pair of shoes. At first, you feel immense happiness, but after a while, they become just another object. This phenomenon is called hedonic adaptation. In practice, this meant that Julian could never feel truly satisfied with his victories. They were intense but fleeting. Modern research shows that the reward circuit is particularly sensitive to novelty and anticipation. This explains why Julian constantly sought new challenges. He couldn't settle for what he already had because his brain kept asking, "What's next?" Moreover, Julian was driven by something even deeper: a need for validation. Psychological studies, such as those by Abraham Maslow, suggests that after satisfying basic needs, humans seek recognition and a sense of purpose. Julian wanted to feel that his existence had meaning, that he was seen. However, this incessant search created a vicious cycle. Each time Julian achieved a goal, he quickly felt unsatisfied and began to pursue the next one. The reward system, instead of being a tool for well-being, became a trap that kept him in constant motion without allowing him to find peace. In everyday life, we see this same mechanism at work in behaviors such as social media addiction. Each like, each comment, each notification activates the reward circuit, creating a cycle of constant seeking. Like Julian, many people today are trapped in a cycle of immediate but empty pleasure that prevents them from finding lasting satisfaction. Even more concerning is how this cycle can lead us to neglect what really matters. Julian, in his pursuit of pleasure and validation, destroyed relationships, manipulated people, and in the end, lost everything. It's a tragic example of what can happen when we let the reward system control us instead of using it as a tool to seek something greater. But if Julian had understood how his brain worked, would he have made different decisions? This question leads us to another perspective, philosophy. In the next chapter, we'll explore how thinkers like Epicurus and Schopenhauer can help us better understand the pursuit of pleasure and its consequences. Is pleasure really the path to happiness, or just an illusion that keeps us distracted from what really matters? If this reflection made you think and helped you see things differently, don't forget to leave a like, share this message with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more reflections like this.